Hi, my name is Heather Wilson, and I'm the co-founder of Kennedy's Angel Gowns. This afternoon, we are going to talk a lot about being brave through your grief. The first person I'd like to introduce you to is Ashley Brown, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her story and her amazing angel baby, Eliza Mae. Ashley?
My name is Ashley, and my daughter Eliza Mae was born sleeping on October the 9th of 2019. We basically had a fairly good pregnancy, some complications, and I was high risk. We had some blood pressure issues and some other things, but other than that, pretty good. She was good. We were good, and we were scheduled for delivery at 38 weeks. And we went in for our appointment that day to decide when we were, gonna induce that day or the next day or whatever. And we went in that morning and found out that she no longer had a heartbeat. She was fine the previous day, the previous night, and we really don't have an answer as to why that happened. We just know that my blood pressure was high, and that's really the only thing we can get from that. So after Eliza passed away, Kennedy's Angel Gowns reached out to us because Dimitri, which is Heather's husband, he works with my husband, Willie, at the fire department in Suffolk. And they reached out to us and gave us a beautiful gown for Eliza, for her to be buried in. And that is how we've kind of gotten to know each other and the story of Eliza.
Yes. So I appreciate you sharing. Thank you for sharing, and just appreciate your friendship, because as much as you always share with me that I've helped you, you have been amazing and helped me as well. So I appreciate just you being there for me as well. It's helped me through lots of milestones and lots of really, really hard days. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. I would be completely lost without you. You're like a superhero that showed up at my house.
You're sweet. Our stories too. Our stories are so similar. That's another piece to, I think, why our connection is so deep. Not only do we have the strength of the firefighter family, but when I sat beside you, I remember that day. It was the day we came over. And I sat beside you, and you were sharing. I just kept saying, oh my gosh, same thing. And I would just kept saying, did you experience this? And did you experience that? And vice versa. You were saying those same things to me. So it's kind of crazy how our little girls' stories are very, very similar.
Yes, it was amazing, because before you, I felt so crazy. I felt like nobody understood. I felt like
Yeah.
I was in a big bubble. And when you came over that night, one of my best friends, Nathan, he told me after you left, he said, there is nothing else in the world that mattered when she was talking to you. You were right here.
Oh.
He said you were just so zoomed into her. So it's very
Oh my
nice to have
gosh.
someone that
It is.
understands.
Understand and truly understand. I told Demetri, I said, I hope she absorbed something from that night, because I know,
I did.
with the shock and all of the feelings of grief. And so I'm thankful for you. And I wanted to ask you a couple questions. You obviously experienced what I experienced. And unfortunately, we also have that in common, that we both did not have a cuddle cot. When did you actually find out what a cuddle cot was?
So I actually found out what it really was through you. I guess I had heard about it before, maybe somewhere along the way, but I really didn't know what it was or what it did, and I definitely didn't know anybody that had to use one. So until I spoke with you and you kind of were telling me different things about the organization and the things that you fundraise for, I really didn't know. And so yeah, I found out from you after the fact, after I got home from the hospital, after everything was said and done, then I realized that was a option.
Okay, gotcha. And what would you say is, after learning about the Cuddle Cot and you yourself raising the funds to put a Cuddle Cot in place in less than a year of losing Eliza, What would you say would be the most important value of the Cuddle Cot? Why are they so important in your own words?
So, the Cuddle Cot, for me personally, I was a little bit angered when I found out that there was such a thing and that I didn't get to have that.
Right.
Of course, as you know, grief, anger is a beast with
Yes.
grief. And it was one of the things that I was very angry about.
Mm-hmm.
Cuddle Cot means everything to someone in this situation, everything. And you might not realize it at the time. If you're lucky enough to have it, you might not realize how important it is. But when someone doesn't have it,
Mm-hmm.
basically you are just robbing that little bit of time from that family that they can have with their precious baby. It means everything. There's so much that we could have done had we have had a Cuddle Cot. So many more memories that we could have made in that little bit of time. We only had 5 hours before we had to call in the funeral home, and that was it. And in those 5 hours, we chose to share Eliza with our family and friends because they loved her too, and they wanted to see her too. So
Yeah.
we decided to share our time, and we just 5 hours wasn't hot enough. And to have been able to have kept her in the room and to do more things, and to have the pastor come in and maybe do something we could have done with that time. Time is everything for these families.
It is. And you recently did a fundraiser, and I'd love for you to share with everyone about your community and how much they've stood behind you, and also the fundraiser that you did to raise money for the hospital that you raised the money to purchase the Cuddle Cot and place the Cuddle Cot in.
Okay. So the hospital that I chose to put the Cuddle Cot in was obviously the hospital that we delivered at. I basically, once I found out about the Cuddle Cots and found out that that was an option and that my little local hospital didn't have that option for the other families that would come after me, it just put fire in my soul. I just decided that right then and right there, I'm going to cry. Sorry.
It's okay.
I just decided that I didn't want anybody else to go through that. I wanted everybody else that came behind me, unfortunately, to have that, because I hope they never use it. And but if they have to, I want it to be there. And it just set fire in me to make that happen. I knew that that was something I needed to do for me and to do for Eliza, and just to do for the other families. We decided to do a barbecue chicken fundraiser, which I know, you thought was crazy at first, but in my little community, it's a big deal. And we raise a lot of money by selling barbecue chicken plates. We have some great cooks. We have some great people, volunteers, people that just love each other and just come together and make it happen. And that's exactly what we did. We came together and we set a goal and we made it happen.
And Ashley said it set fire under her, and she's not kidding. So Eliza passed in October. She had the fundraiser up and running by December, the first week in December. So it's been amazing working alongside of you and having you join our board and just support Kennedy's Angel Gowns mission. We love the Brown family. We love Eliza Mae. We never met her, but we feel her spirit in all we do. So every year we will celebrate Eliza Mae and have Eliza Mae Day, because she's important to you, you're important to me, and I just feel her presence, and she lives through you, and it definitely shows.
Thank you. And the same about Kennedy. I didn't know Kennedy. I didn't even know you at that time, but there's not a day that goes by that I don't say Kennedy's name. And I don't do something in Kennedy's honor. So thank you very much for everything.
Through grief, do you get a lot of people saying, "Oh my gosh, Ashley, you're so brave"? Do you get that? And when you do get asked that question, how do you feel?
I do get that a lot. And especially at the beginning when Eliza first passed away, for me, it was very easy for me to write. Writing was kind of how I got things out. And I did that on social media. And it was mostly Facebook. I would get on my Facebook, and whatever was in my thoughts, I would put it on Facebook. And I've received a lot of feedback from that, people saying that it was inspirational and brave. And at first, to be honest, it made me very uncomfortable because I felt very weak and vulnerable, and it made me just feel uncomfortable. I talked to my pastor about it and was like, what do I do when people say that, And he told me, he was like, give it to God, give that glory to God. And so that's what I started doing. I started humbling myself and, telling people that it wasn't me, it's God, and that I have to give all of that to God, because without him, I wouldn't be able to do anything. And also, I didn't know anybody that had experienced anything like this. And going to several events through Kennedy's Angel Gowns and meeting a lot of other moms. It didn't take me long to realize that it is very brave and it is very inspiring. I couldn't see it in myself, but when I see it in others like you and many of the other moms that I've met through Kennedy's Angel Gowns, it's amazing to see them talk about it and to put it out there and to break the silence, because it makes people uncomfortable.
It does.
And it makes people feel weird. And unfortunately, I am that mom that lost her baby and people don't know what to say. And for me to step outside of that and to talk about it anyway, and to do it anyway, and to not worry about it anyway, that does take bravery. So when people say it, I am humbled, because it does take bravery. And I've met some of the bravest people I have ever known through this experience and through this grief journey.
Yeah, I can attest and agree to that. It does take bravery, and even this right now, us just talking about it live on social media, I have to pump myself up. It does make you very brave to go to that most vulnerable place and just share your deepest hurt and pain. Because for me, this is the biggest thing I've ever been through. It's the worst thing I've ever been through, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So I definitely can agree to that. But watching you, and I know I've told you this before, for me, it took 7 years of healing before I could really jump into it. So to me, you're one of the bravest people I know.
Oh, thank you.
And I watch you. I've had the honor of watching you walk through this, and I'm learning a lot about myself through you. So keep being brave. I'll always be your cheerleader, and I'll always walk this with you, and we'll always have each other.
Girl, you just don't have any idea how amazing you are to me. I'm telling you, you have been everything a lot of days.
It's been COVID-19 times, and the world looks different, and so we are stuck in our homes, really dealing with our feelings and dealing with our grief. And your grief is very, very fresh. How are you coping through COVID-19?
Ooh, girl, COVID-19 is rough. I would be lying if I said any different. At first, it wasn't really, too bad, because it wasn't very different from what I was already doing. I hadn't quite, gotten all the way out there yet, but I was definitely
taking baby steps to
there. Yes, I was starting to go out, starting to socialize, starting to not feel as isolated.
Right.
Still isolated, but not as isolated. And it was like, bam, okay, now you have to shelter in place. And at first I was like, no big deal. I'm working from home anyway. I haven't gone back out to work yet. It'll be fine. But it didn't take but a couple of weeks before that grief settled right back in, and everything just kind of was shaken. It's taken me a while to adjust. I had a little adjustment period that was rocky, and had some trouble. But I'm okay now. I pray a lot, and I do a lot of daily devotional things. We actually went to talk to the pastor, and we were like, look, we need church. We need something. So we are going to have our drive-through church this Sunday for the first time. Thank God. I'm so ready for church. But I pray a lot, and I do devotions, and I aggravate the mess out of my son and my husband. I'm very needy. Like, hey, let's hang out. Let's watch movies. Let's do this. Let's do that. And schoolwork, of course. We're doing schoolwork. So it's good and bad. You know, it's hard to be so isolated, but then again, I'm getting to spend time with my family, and we're safe in our home, and we're blessed that we are able to do that, and that we can be safe in our homes, and that I can spend this time with my son and my husband. So it's pros and cons, and good and bad, but we're going to give it to God, and we're going to have faith over fear, and we're going to roll through it.
Good. Well, just so you know, we're always here too if you need us. I know we've been communicating back and forth and calling each other on rough days and sending little texts and little pick-me-up phone calls. So we'll continue to do that and support anybody else, any other moms or dads that need us during this time. Is there anything else that you would like to share about anything related to Eliza or related to your story, or any advice that you'd like to give other grieving moms?
If I had any advice at all to anyone in this situation, it would be, in the very beginning, I heard over and over and over and over again that it was going to get better. It was going to get easier. I can't even count how many times I heard that and how many times I wanted to pull my hair out from hearing it. Honestly, it does. It really does. You just have to brave through that and that initial, time in the beginning. But the pain of losing our babies, it never goes away. It is just as raw and just as real right now as it was the day it happened. That is never, ever going to change. But learning how to cope with it, and learning how to talk to people and deal with it and do things for the good of it, it becomes easier. And
not be silenced.
Yes.
And not be silenced and talk about our babies, because that is, and now you have me teary-eyed, that is something that I've always tried to push out and to encourage moms, is that it is okay to cry. It is okay to talk about your baby. And if whatever it takes, whatever is healthy that it takes to get through those hard times, do it. And don't feel selfish about it. It's grieving, and it's your way of being brave.
And that, I just talked with my husband about this the other day. I am unapologetic about my grief. And I know that it makes people uncomfortable sometimes. And I've heard the rumors and the talk and the whispers. You hear all the harsh judgment. And it gets back to you and you hear it. But I'm unapologetic about it. And, that these are our children. And we love them just like we do our living children. And it's okay to say their names, and it's okay to talk about it, and don't feel bad about that. That would be my biggest advice. Don't be silenced. If you want to say their name, if you want to talk about them, talk about them. If someone's uncomfortable with it, that's kind of on them.
That's their problem. It's not your problem.
Exactly. You have to heal you. You have to do what's best for you and your family, and don't forget that.
Yeah. Ashley, can you talk a little bit about the gown that you received for Eliza?
Yes. It was just God that this happened, because we were in the hospital and I was freaking out about what she was going to wear and trying to make those funeral arrangements in my head and get everything together. And I couldn't do anything because I was in the hospital and they wouldn't let me leave. And I was stressing about what she was going to wear. And Willie told me, he was like, don't worry about it. He was like, I know a guy,
You're probably thinking, what?
He was trying to explain it to me. But at that time, I was like, what are you talking about? And he was telling me a little bit about your story, but I was so out of it that I wasn't really listening. And he just kept telling me, don't worry about something for her to wear. Don't worry. We've got it. We've got something for her to wear. And I did. I just didn't worry about it. I trusted that he had it under control. And the first night that we got home from the hospital, shortly after we got home from the hospital, Heather and Dimitri showed up, and they had this big suitcase, and I was like, what is happening? They all of the beautiful burial gowns, and they let me go through each and every one of them. Were all so beautiful, and so she let me keep a couple and choose, and then I got the others back to her. But I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. It was the perfect gown. I would have never been able to find anything like that that would have suited me to bury my precious angel in. It was just perfect. It had all the bling and all the
yeah, I remember that.
bedazzles
I
and
remember you saying that when I said, I said, what should I bring? And Demetri said, Willie said she likes bling. So I packed the blingiest gowns
that's right.
inside the suitcase. And another thing I remember from that night was Noah, the gowns were laid on your
Yes.
counter and Noah said, this is the one. This is the one
Yep.
from my sister.
Yeah, he
And
was very adamant about it. There was another one that I had liked, and he said, no, that's not the one. That's not it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Noah has been amazing, y'all. I just have to give him a shout out because that boy he is just amazing.
Ashley, thank you so much for sharing Eliza's story. Every time you share your story, I learn a new piece, and I appreciate you always being so willing to use your voice and use Eliza's story to bring awareness to stillbirth. I just want to truly just thank you from the bottom of our heart for being a willing participant and just openly sharing your story. So thank you so much.